A leftist with a very silly-looking anti-MAGA hat confronts Michael Knowles at a college Q&A and gets absolutely smoked in return. Guys, this is going to be a fun one, and you're going to like it. I don't know about you, but I love a good leftist beatdown, all right? And of course, we don't mean actual violence, because that's terrible, and we always condemn that. So we're going to get right into it, guys. But first, do me a huge favor, guys. Like our video, share it around. If you're new, hit that subscribe button, and thank you so much. We really appreciate that. As always, everybody, I'm your host, Arian, and this is the Resist the Mainstream YouTube channel.
I'd like to start off by noticing that as each speaker gets up here, this speaker then goes ahead and answers, and his supporters get to go ahead and applaud. I would like to start off by applauding the people that have the courage to stand up against this hate.
You're certainly welcome to applaud anybody you like. I take no responsibility for who applauds for what.
Well, you haven't given them space. That was my point. But I do have questions here. What I was saying is the structure here has been very specifically designed to go ahead and to support a particular point of view.
Could you give an example of that? Because here's what I think happens. People come up and ask me a question, and then I give them an answer, and then somebody else comes up and asks me a question, and then I give them a different answer. Could you please show me the nefarious and unfair structure of that Q&A?
I'll be happy to, because after their last comment, you get a chance to comment, and your supporters go ahead and applaud. When the speaker is then going ahead and when the person from the audience is talking, you immediately talk afterwards, and there's no space.
Yes, that's true, because they're asking me a question, because I'm the speaker and they're the ones asking the questions.
Exactly.
Right. So I guess they can go give a speech somewhere else, and then their supporters can go and applaud them. But that's not what we're engaged in here.
So you do agree then that there was...
I agree that I'm giving a speech and people are asking me questions. I agree with that, yes. I didn't know that I had to clarify that.
I love how Michael Knowles is just giving these little smirks and laughs throughout this guy's little monologue, because he just knows it's so absurd. A question I wish he'd ask this guy is, so you're saying we don't give enough space or whatever to people, even though we literally hand them a microphone and ask them whatever they want. Well, what are your thoughts on when college leftist professors refuse to let people engage in a substantive discussion? Think about this for a moment, guys. How often do you see a leftist getting roasted in some kind of public forum by another person, whether they be a conservative or a regular person or whatever? Almost never, right? How many times have you seen Barack Obama, Nancy Pelosi, or Hillary Clinton get smoked in some kind of Q&A session? I can't remember the last time it's happened, honestly. And somebody might say, oh, well, they're smart. That's why they give a good response. Okay. What about Joe Biden or Kamala Harris? Are you going to look at me with a straight face and argue that they're smart? I don't think you will. Just saying. At the end of the day, the reason why these leftists don't get smoked in public or in any kind of Q&A, not on any kind of common level at least, is because, let's be real, they're just too chicken shit to put up with the heat. Okay? They can't do it. And that really is what it comes down to. Meanwhile, people like Knowles will actually say, hey, you can come up, ask me whatever you want, and we'll have a discussion. And this guy is complaining that we're not giving them enough space or something. Really, dude? Let's see you hold that same standard for the leftist college professors, the Democrat politicians and commentators, or literally anybody else other than a right-wing speaker. I'll wait.
Let me go ahead and, frankly, there's so much misinformation here, I don't even know where to start, but I will try. You talk about melting pots and assimilation. I don't know to what extent you cook in the kitchen and you don't cook. I have no idea.
Well, I'm of Italian descent, so I can work my way around a kitchen a little bit.
If that's the case, then you will know that a melting pot is not something that you take a pot, you put the first ingredient in, and you add other things, and you expect everything else to go ahead and take on the flavor of that first ingredient. Rather, a melting pot is a mixture of different ingredients, and some of those ingredients you want to blend in, and other ingredients you want them to maintain their character, and you don't want them to blend in very much, and you put them in a particular order. And you talk about what makes America. There's plenty of things in this country that are a huge problem, and there's plenty of things in this country that are very good. One of the best things about this country is that as each culture comes in, we're able to go ahead and look at that culture and take on the best things from that culture. America is not a English-only culture. We have taken on from all different cultures, and it's the strength of this country that we have gone ahead and taken on. It's the strength of this country that you can't look at people and tell which ones are Americans and which ones are not.
That's what I said in my speech.
That's
literally what I said in my speech.
What you said is you expect them to assimilate.
Right, I expect assimilation, and I said it's a beautiful thing in this country that you can't look at someone and tell who's the American and who isn't. I said the exact same line that you just said.
But you seem to imply that when people come in...
Well, you know what they say happens when you assume.
Ask that of you and me.
Yeah, is there a question or is this a speech?
Yes, there is.
What's the question?
Okay, so the question is do you realize that 100 years ago, you mentioned that previously people have come in and then they immediately assimilate. 100 years ago, there were areas in New York City where you couldn't function if you couldn't speak Yiddish, if you couldn't speak German, if you couldn't speak a Slavic language. 130 years ago in Kansas, in a very large area in Kansas, German was such a predominant language that the Native Americans assumed that the language in this country was German, not English. We've never
That would be a true tragedy.
This guy is making these arguments as if what he's saying is a good thing. I do agree that it's a good thing that you can look at somebody and you can't tell if they're American or not. But you know what? You can often tell they are an American or not once you speak to them or have an interaction with them. And that, my friends, is not always a good thing. I can't tell you how many times I go to a restaurant, especially fast food, and the employee can't even speak English. I'm making a simple order at the drive-thru. I just want to get some burgers and fries and a drink and move on. And they can't even understand what I'm saying, even though I'm speaking basic English. That's the real problem, and people should not be okay with that. We even have public schools in America who will teach exclusively in Spanish. Yes, that's a real thing. They literally don't teach what should be the national language of the United States. If you think about it, Americans have just about nothing in common, okay? Not even values. Just about half of our country probably doesn't actually believe in freedom of speech. And if you're going to get angry at me and say I'm generalizing, just look at the polling on it with Pew Research. It's pretty damn clear. All that to say, yes, assimilation is very important and it should be expected. If you're going to go to a foreign country, you better learn how their culture functions and learn to integrate and work within it. That's just how it is. Can you introduce some other cool things like a cool cultural food or whatever? Sure, that's great and that's often encouraged. But if you can't function with the country's basic cultural values or even language, that's a huge issue. And saying that doesn't make you a racist or a white supremacist or an Islamophobe or whatever other stupid ism or word people want to throw at you. It just is what it is.
We've never had a situation where people come in and they immediately start speaking.
But I never claimed that people immediately assimilate. I never claimed that in my speech. I think you're making fine points. They're just not points that in any way contradict what I've been saying this afternoon.
I'd like to ask just one more question, then I'll leave. In the past, when the young Americans have had speakers here, you mentioned that each person gets one question, and you've been very accommodating about letting many of us have a conversation. But
so he's not engaging in hate after all, and he is letting people speak. Bro, figure out your argument, man. Come on.
In the past, there's never been that kind of a statement, and I'm just wondering why there would be a statement here. It sounds like you're afraid of having a conversation, though I will admit that you have been carrying on a conversation.
Okay.
And
who's not afraid?
I just want, in closing, I just want to say that what's really important is that we embrace other ideas and other cultures, not that we assume or force people to go ahead and take on what's already there.
Well, I appreciate your comments. I would like to point out that it seems you have criticized me for saying things I didn't say. I agree with many of the points that you've made, and then you're criticizing other speakers who have spoken for Young Americans Foundation instead of me. So I'm pleased that you had a nice time at the lecture. I agree with many of your points, and I love the open exchange of ideas.
Wait for it.
I heard you, sir.
Guys, what did he say right there? Okay, I think he said, I don't think you've heard me, but I'm not sure. Let us know in the comments because I'm really curious to hear what he said. And with that, thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, we really appreciate it. Please be sure to comment below. Let us know what you liked about the video, what kind of content you want to see in the future, and we'll see you guys again soon. Thanks so much, and God bless.